Meanwhile, the BJP has stepped up its attack on Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, raising pointed questions over her conduct during the Enforcement Directorate raid. The party alleges the Chief Minister personally intervened at the site, which is unprecedented, asking what she was trying to conceal when she removed files from the residence of the IPAC chief Prateek Jain. The accusation has intensified the political slugfest, with the BJP calling it a serious breach of law and procedure. Earlier, I spoke to BJP senior leader Swapan Dasgupta. Listen in. All right, joining me right now is senior BJP leader Swapan Dasgupta. Mr. Dasgupta, thank you for speaking with us. It's been a while. We've seen you on television. Hope you've been well. Mr. Dasgupta, first up, what do you make of what you're seeing today on the streets of Kolkata? With what happened yesterday of the ED action, now a massive political flashpoint where you have Mamata Banerjee once again questioning the credibility of central agencies.
I think there are two significant developments today as far as West Bengal politics is concerned. Of course, Mamata Banerjee taking to the streets was a very predictable response they had. But equally significant, in my view, was the fact that today the hearing of the Calcutta High Court on the petition moved by the ED and, in fact, and even the TMC was suspended because of general fracas in the courtroom, which was done entirely by the TMC. So, there's a vested interest they have in ensuring that the court hearings are delayed as far as possible, gives them that space to go and behave like a martyr, feign martyrdom on the streets. You see, what is necessary as far as Mamata Banerjee is concerned, and here I agree with your correspondent who said it earlier. Mamata Banerjee, for a various number of reasons, was on the back foot. And she now feels, in her perception, that she can move to the offensive and, if not galvanize the whole state, at least galvanize her own committed supporters. And this is precisely the same game she's doing. Remember, in the last election, she tried to, in the 2021 election, she banged her foot against the car door and made a big show out of that. We went around in a wheelchair and all that. So all those dramatic are very much. As far as the assertion that, Bengal is above the rule of law and follows the rule of jungle, and that's the new normal. I mean, that's also an assertion which she's trying to make, and which I think will have to be vigorously contested by every single individual, every single political institution and the legal institution of this country. Because what took place yesterday in Calcutta was an affront to the rule of law. Earlier we have said, we have noted by the governors noting that the rule of law has been replaced by the law of the ruler. So yesterday was a classic example of that. That I don't like what the ED is doing, so I'm going to forcibly use my political, moral, and constitutional authority to physically prevent it and make a show of actually taking away the documents in a car of her own choosing. So it's not something we've heard. Imagine if she gets away with this. Can you imagine what the hideous implications of this for any future action which any government agency might want to take? I mean, this is like saying that if a person is accused of some heinous crime, including terrorism, they can actually take the law into their own hands and defy the police, and there is a judge and justify that course of action. So I think the implications of what took place yesterday have to be viewed very, very seriously. Of course, it's a political battle which is being conducted on the streets of Calcutta. It's a more legal battle which is being prevented in the High Court. But all these together, I think, are going to make a big difference in how Bengal is governed in future. At present, I think, in every respect, it's a very shameful day for Bengal.
Mr. Swapan Dasgupta, you bring up the time when the last elections when Mamata Banerjee had banged her foot and then we saw the plaster. But having said that, that evoked immense amount of empathy and sympathy from her voters, and we saw how that election panned out. But that away, nobody's taking away from the fact that Mamata Banerjee yesterday, being a constitutional post of a chief minister, barged in where investigations were being conducted and took away files which could be incriminatory in nature. Nobody's denying that. And, that is something which the TMC and the chief minister is answerable. But there are two other questions on the sidelines, Swapan Dasgupta. And Mr. Dasgupta, first one to touch on, you've had the BJP West Bengal handle, which is the social media handle. You've had the BJP opposition leader. You've had the BJP at the center come out in strong defense and an offensive on Mamata Banerjee. At the back of the EC raids, many are suggesting it's for of the ED raids. Many are suggesting it's for the ED to answer. Why is the BJP taking up cudgels for the Enforcement Directorate?
Well, it's for the ED to answer as to what exactly they were investigating the IPAC officers, what they were investigating as far as Mr. Pratik Jain, his name is, that's what his name, what, as far as they were concerned. But I think the larger issue, which I think the BJP handle, as I saw it, put forward was that there is a rule of law, there are certain constitutional norms, and that this has been violated. I don't think it's for the BJP to comment on the merits or the demerits of the case itself. That is for the ED to actually present before the people on to the courts and do that. So I don't think the BJP has any locus standi as far as that is concerned. But the BJP, just like any other ordinary citizen of West Bengal as well as India, has the right to comment on is the fact that the constitutional norms, the rule of law, was violated recklessly, brazenly, and with pride by a person who is the chief minister. Now, whether that is tantamount to a constitutional breakdown, which Mamata Banerjee, in her own wisdom, might want to actually project perversely, is another matter. But, the ED's fight is not the BJP's fight. The BJP's fight is a political fight. The ED's fight is a legal issue.
But Mr. Dasgupta, for example, what possibly gives Mamata Banerjee the confidence to do what she did yesterday, and no way can anyone justify what she did. But that confidence could come from the fact, and I'm only quoting data, just on the source of journalistic inquisition, we took out 10 past elections that have happened. In fact, we took out data of all elections that have happened in the last 10 years. And saving two states, Mr. Dasgupta, every state that has gone into election has seen action by investigative agencies on the opposition party, whether it's in the opposition or incumbent government to the BJP, face action by central agencies 2 to 3 months before elections. It's practically nearly every election in the last 10 years.
Well, thank you for pointing out that. And I'm sure that's a very interesting observation. But what I want to point out is that as far as I can make out, and what the ED has said, that these raids yesterday were in connection with a coal scam, a hideous scam which took place. It's been almost about a decade now. It's been in the thing, and it's being monitored on a regular basis by the courts. So it's not something which has happened overnight. Now you may say, why did they leave it to the last minute? I mean, that's a question anyone can ask. But there are issues which are there. There are investigations which are in the offing, and there are investigations which center on both IPAC as well as the nephew of Mamata Banerjee, Abhishek Banerjee. So, I'm stunned by the silence of that gentleman on this thing, because there are a lot of people who would say that this has something to do with him. But those are allegations. I'm not actually making a final assertion on that. But I would say that the BJP is fighting this election on its own. It's a political fight. There is a separate thing called the ED, which has its own agenda, which has its own brief, and its brief which they fulfill. And I don't think we should confuse that. If anyone in the BJP is making the connection that ED is what ED and the BJP are working hand in glove, I think they're making a very serious mistake. That's not the issue at all. Political fights are political fights. The enforcement directorate is the enforcement directorate. CBI is the CBI.
Mr. Dasgupta, for a moment now, if you could pull away from being a leader of the BJP and a part of the Bharatiya Janata Party and wear the hat of a political watcher and analyst that you have been as well, how do you think this will pan out? You gave us the example of what happened the last time around when Mamata Banerjee banged her foot. She got into a cast. Many would suggest that was the first instance that election turned in her favor. Do you think this could also be that move, which an adversity is going to be turned into an advantage by Mamata Banerjee to galvanize voter base?
Well, she's definitely going to try. She tried her level best as far as the SIR was concerned. She tried to make that an issue, which said that, people are willful, their names are being willfully excluded, which is not the case. I think we can fairly assume that the final rolls haven't come out. But the exclusions in Uttar Pradesh, the exclusions in Tamil Nadu are far greater than that of West Bengal. So that's not really the case. But there are significant deletions in things, and she's been wanting to make that into an issue. Now she's trying to make this into an issue. But against that, there is the weight of anti-incumbency, which is there. And that anti incumbency is based on one of the two facts. One is that a record of corruption, but much more significant is that West Bengal's economic decline has been so terminal that it's really, in one sense, fallen off the economic map of India. A state which was number two in 1947 is to today almost at the bottom of the league. And that is something which, particularly the young people, they feel very strongly that there are no opportunities in West Bengal. Calcutta, for instance, which was once a vibrant city, has been more or less turned into an old age home. So those sort of the lapses, these after 15 years, Mamata Banerjee's record of governance leaves much to be desired. And I think she's trying to overcome some of these deficiencies by creating certain emotive issues. And I think this is just one of them. Whether it'll succeed or not, we have to see. It'll also depend on how well the BJP plays it, how well the
Right.
elections are. I mean, how well the BJP manages the elections, etc. But
Okay.
yes, this is certainly her endeavor. This is certainly her endeavor.
Let me ask you one final question before we let you go, Mr. Swapan Dasgupta. You say how the BJP manages it, that remains to be seen. Let me ask you, you've been a BJP leader. You come from West Bengal, where you've seen BJP, rise from a complete not to an impressive opening, which was in the last election. This time around, where does the BJP stand? Many would suggest that there's a fair amount of confusing messaging. You have Samik Bhattacharya, who's your state president, who's been considered a moderate voice, and then you have somebody as hawkish as a Suvendu Adhikari. Many feel that this is very conflicting messaging.
Well, I think the messaging, if you really look at it, there has to be multiple messaging in any state. There's never, BJP is not a party which has a supreme leader in the state. There are various leaders in the state. Shomik Bhattacharya is a very old, tested, tried veteran of the party who has a very poetic way, a very eloquent way. His public speeches are, in a sense, very Bajpayee-esque in their style of delivery. And Shuvendu, on the other hand, is much more pugnacious, to the point, and much more fierce. Both have a place in this battle. And both of them appeal to different constituencies, but those constituencies are complementary. They have a very basic aim, which is to get the BJP back from
Okay.
being almost a non-entity into the center stage of West Bengal.
Fair point. Do we see you back in a more prominent political role, Mr. Dasgupta, soon?
I've always had a political role in West Bengal. I've always played it. Sometimes because of pressure of work, I'm in Delhi,
Okay.
but I'm very much there in West Bengal.
All right. We hope to hear you more often as the election comes near. Thank you, sir, for taking the time out and joining us in India today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.